So I'm finishing up All-Star Comics number 3 from winter 1941 with Green Lantern. The story started when a series of major crimes broke out in the city. Banks were robbed, stores looted, citizens murdered. The police seemed helpless, and people began to talk about the inefficiency of the department under Police Commissioner Mason. Something's got to be done. Mason should be fired. What we need is a new police commissioner. A public reformer appeared, making speeches that stirred up the public. And when I say again, what we need is a new police commissioner. You ought to be the guy, Lacey. Hooray, Lacey for police commissioner. Unknown to the public, there was a secret meeting of men who were working behind the political scenes. We got the boys mixing in the crowds, yelling down with Mason. Well, are you making progress? It's in the bag after tonight. That night, the editors of the many newspapers received mysterious phone calls. Mike, get your camera and hop down to Commissioner Mason's place. I just got a reliable tip-off that something's up. It sounds hot, so hop on it. I'm on my way. Then the cameraman arrived at Mason's. They found police surrounding the place. What's up? Quiet. We just got a tip that Mason is getting a payoff tonight. We're trying to catch him red-handed. The cameraman quickly got a vantage point, and then, here you are, Mason. Take this. Flashbulbs, cameras. Cameraman, what is this? Well, what is this? You're finished, Mason. So you were getting your cut tonight, eh? Look, money. This certainly proves Mason was protecting the racketeers in this city. Mason was quickly brought before the court and questioned. You mean to say you never received any money before? I never took a bribe in my life, Your Honor. Somebody wants me out of the way. I'm being framed. And you don't know who gave you this money to give to Commissioner Mason? Yeah, I got a call to meet a guy in a certain place. He gave me the money in the dark. I never seen his face. I just did me job. That's all. Well, Mason was detained pending formal trial. A citizens' committee called on the mayor. We demand that you replace Mason with an honest man as police commissioner. The people's choice is Lacey. Very well, the people want Lacey. They shall have him. With Lacey as police commissioner, all crimes mysteriously ceased. Not a major crime since Lacey was put in charge. Those crooks are certainly afraid of him, all right. Though this was true, gambling dens increased. Minor rackets flourished, yet all was done quietly without attracting public attention. What number you playing today? 721. In my natural identity as Alan Scott, radio engineer, I work at the Apex Broadcasting Company, and there I heard much talk about Mason. Whoever thought that Mason was a crook? I don't believe it. He was framed. If the Green Lantern were to investigate, he'd find out the real truth. What do you think, Alan? I shouldn't be surprised. That night I put on my costume, and as I touched the ring to the lamp, I suddenly felt a strange, invigorating force course through my body. I was ready once more to step into my other role as Green Lantern. And I shall shed my light upon dark evil, for the dark things cannot stand the light of the Green Lantern. Stepping to the window, I launched myself up into space. I must have made a weird sight as I streaked through the sky, silhouetted against the moon. Moments later, I alighted in the room of Paul Pryor, famous newspaper columnist and radio commentator. What? That costume, you're the Green Lantern. Listen, Pryor, there's no time to lose. You don't believe that Mason is guilty of accepting graft, do you? Mason? No, of course not. I don't either. Now, tomorrow I want you to say this in your column. Listen. In the next day, Pryor's column carried the message. I will disclose tonight on my radio program exactly how Commissioner Mason was framed. I will name names, and those who are guilty had better think up excuses. And again, behind the scenes of the gang world, a man gave orders. No doubt you read Paul Pryor's column today. He knows too much. He must not talk on his radio program tonight. I get it, boss. That guy ain't gonna talk to nobody no more. Later, as Pryor went to answer a knock on his door, what do you want? Nothing much, only your hide. Ain't Joe the Kidder. You talk too much, Pryor. I'm gonna give it to you. Right, huh? Giving away something, Joe. How generous of you. It's the Green Lantern. Come here. Just like two castanets. I hit the other thug once. He stood there with a stupid expression on his face. and then folded up like an accordion. Now, who sent you here? Who's your boss? Talk. I don't know. Won't talk, eh? Look deep into the light of this ring. As I concentrated my will, the ring seemed to grow in a swell of light. Look deep into the light, deep, deep. It grew until it seemed to crowd the very room. No, I'll tell you, I'll tell you. Talk, else the ring will crush you. Naturally, the ring wasn't that gigantic. I had merely hypnotized him into thinking so. It worked all right because he took everything he knew. Told everything he knew. Whew, what a story. I gotta tell the public tonight. Wow. You'd better get to the studio right away. I'm going after the fellows, boss. What? This fellow's boss. Okay, shortly after I stood on the porch that surrounded the bus. I think I gave Green Lantern the wrong voice. But I had already been detected. Someone's on the porch. Bring him in, Ape. Sure thing, boss. The next thing I knew, something caught me on the back of the head, and I suddenly felt myself falling. I had been struck with a wooden club, a non-metal. Non-metal is the only thing against which the ring does not protect me. I think most things are non-metal. In fact, a fist is non-metal. When I woke, I saw a face I expected to see. It was Commissioner Lacey. Awake, are you? So you're the famous Green Lantern. And you're the infamous boss that had Mason framed because it suited your evil purpose to be commissioner yourself. Yes, Lacey, I know everything. And incidentally, your little plot to kill Pryor failed. He's at the studio now about to expose you. I'll stop him. I'm the police commissioner. I'll stop that broadcast. I'll go there myself. Ape, keep an eye on this guy. Slug him if he tries anything. Sure thing, boss. As soon as Lacey was gone, I turned the green light of my ring on the ropes that bound me. Then soon after, the last of the ropes that bound me had fallen to the floor. Huh? Before the thug realized what was happening, I struck him with all my strength. For a second he gaped at me wall-eyed, and then sagged to the ground like a melting wax dummy. Whew, he's got a jaw like cement. A moment later I felt the ground leave my feet as I arrowed up into the air. No time to lose. Lacey must be at the radio station by now. Everything is working on schedule. As I approached the station, I entered the fastest way through the wall. Funny how much it was like diving through a cloud. Inside, Lacey was already at Pryor's side. And now your reporter will give you the inside story of Paul Pryor. You're under arrest for withholding information from the police. Even as Pryor spoke, I flashed my ring at Lacey's face and concentrated. Lacey, you're just the man I've been wanting to see. Why don't you tell the audience the way you got your job? Huh? Why, gladly. As a public reformer, I shall be glad to do so. As Lacey spoke, I concentrated on my willpower until the sweat stood out on my brow, and so when Mason was found guilty, I feel so strange. Mason was framed. I did it. I framed him so I could get him out of the way. My ring did it. It made Lacey tell the truth in spite of himself. Well, what am I saying? I must be crazy. They're coming for me. As Lacey raised his gun, my ray again licked out. Don't come near me. I'll shoot. The bullets, they won't come out. I willed it so, Lacey. Well, I've done my job, thanks to the help of Paul Pryor. Ladies and gentlemen, the Green Lantern, yes, I said the Green Lantern, was here in the studio, and the next day I was back at the studio as Alan Scott and talking to Irene. Alan Scott, where were you all day yesterday? Why, I went to a movie. Saw a gangster picture about getting into public office. About getting into public office. Nice picture. But those things don't happen in real life. Well, that's my story. Of course, Lacey couldn't know that Paul Pryor and I had planned it all that way. It was the end of Lacey, and incidentally, the end of this story. Boy, was that something. I wouldn't mind having that ring of yours for a while. I could use it on a couple fellas I know. Say, here comes the flash. Blazes, that was fast. Well, I got the lowdown, gentlemen, and wait till you hear it. It's tremendous. Come on, spill it. I'm dying of curiosity. Of course, I had no intention getting in to see the FBI, no trouble getting in to see the FBI chief. And incidentally, he's one swell guy. Well, he wants all of us members of the Justice Society to come down and see him all together. I told him I thought next Tuesday night would be okay. Is that all right? Can you all make it? Suits me fine. Sure, that's swell. I wonder what we're going to learn in Washington. I don't know, but I sure aim to be there and find out. I've a hunch something big is about to break. It must be big if they want the help of the entire Justice Society. What a surprise somebody somewhere is going to get. Just a last word, boys and girls, before I leave with the rest of the fellows. Be sure to read the announcement of our editors on the next page. So the editors wrote a whole long thing basically thanking the fans for supporting them, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. But next up will be All-Star Comics number 4.